Minister Jan Francis, friends, I'm delighted to be here today and to have this opportunity to speak at Forest Day, and I would like to congratulate you on having taken the initiative to bring us all together here in Copenhagen. 5 years ago, Professor Wangari Maathai was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In her acceptance speech, she described the birth of the Green Belt movement, which she created in Kenya in the 1970s, a response to the problems experienced by women living in rural communities. The lack of firewood, the need for clean drinking water, having the right food to eat, somewhere decent to sleep, enough money for their families. Women, said Professor Maathai, are often the first to become aware of the environmental damage as resources become scarce. And in Kenya, they saw the forests, so long taken for granted, had within half a century largely disappeared. From the start, the movement planted trees, 30 million of them, and still rising. Trees that provide fuel and food and shelter and income to support their children's education and their families. Trees, as Professor Maathai told us, that also help conversation. Many people walk long distances carrying water. Whether they do so in the burning sun or the cooler shade makes all the difference. The women in places where the trees had got out of the habit of standing and talking because it was too hot. With the cover of the newly planted trees, they began to talk to each other again. Now, we're here today in Copenhagen because we need more green belt movements around the world. Our ancient forests continue to fall at an alarming rate. Illegal logging and the international trade in illegal timber damage the environment, cost governments billions of dollars in lost revenue, encourage corruption, undermine the rule of law, and fund armed conflict. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change tells us that land conversion and deforestation causes nearly 2 billion tons of carbon to be emitted each year. That's around a fifth of all global emissions. And as each tree falls, so does the Earth's ability to heal itself and to adapt to the effects of a changing climate. So what can we do? We need to lay down our axes and pick up our shovels. We need to plant trees. We need to manage our forests so that they can absorb huge amounts of carbon each year. We need to preserve the habitats of thousands of the world's animals and plants. And here in Copenhagen this week, we can make the choice to make this happen. At its heart, REDD+ is a very simple idea. Pay countries rich in forests not to cut down their trees so that the trees can go on eating up carbon. That's what trees do, and they do it very well. Yes, there are a lot of questions. Who's going to pay for it? How much public money? How much private money? How do we make sure it gets to the right people at the right time and doesn't get into the wrong hands? How do we make sure we back the right schemes? And once the system has been set up, how can we include these forest projects in our emissions trading schemes, as surely we must? And they are all very important questions. But nothing like as important as our responsibility to find the right answers. So the first thing we must do here, this week, to help our forests is to agree REDD+. Now, the European Union has pledged $3.6 billion a year over the next 3 years towards fast start finance, a total of $10 billion a year by 2012. The UK and the France said on Friday that 20% of this fast start finance should go to tackle deforestation. Beyond that pledge, the United Kingdom believes that there must be finance for 6 years so that by 2015 we can achieve a 25% reduction in deforestation from current levels. We believe that this will cost in the region of $25 billion, the majority of which, of course, should come from developed countries to support the efforts of developing countries. And that should be our aim. And I'm grateful that Gordon Brown's call has been welcomed by the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea as a game changer. Secondly, REDD+ must be part of an agreement this week. Over the next few days, we need to work urgently with rainforest countries to turn this growing consensus into a final agreement. Without it, there will not be a Copenhagen deal that achieves the 2-degree limit which the science tells us is needed. We have 5 days left in which to get a climate deal. The UK government, as all governments, are making an all-out effort, but we are not yet there. There is a lot of work still to be done. But the progress we are making on deforestation shows that when we do come together, we can achieve something that a generation ago would have seemed impossible. 3 weeks ago, I was in Brazil and heard what is being done there to safeguard its sovereign forests and its biodiversity. They're creating a mosaic of protected areas covering 3 million hectares in the state of Amazonas, the first state in Brazil to enact a law on climate change and environmental conservation. And through a forest fund, it rewards people in conservation areas for preserving the forests. And I would like to congratulate you, Governor Braga of Amazonas, for the commitment you have shown, both to conserving the biodiversity of your state and to improving the quality of life of the people who depend on the forest, but also for the leadership that you have given all of us.